get this mic a little closer to me. Can you hear me okay? All right, good morning everyone. And Walter Parks, if I wasn't understood earlier, I'm coming to you from St. Louis this morning. I figured I'd get in a tuxedo because it seems like a special time of the year. This is, I'm going to put myself through a particular challenge this season. Every year for the last 10 years, I've arranged one Christmas song or holiday song. And so now I have 10 of them, and I feel like I've got enough to make a record, a CD or whatever. And so each episode I'm gonna kind of let y'all in on what I've been working on this week, and so they may be in various degrees of preparation, but this is one that was kind of brings a tear to my eye almost every time I hear it. I'll just play it, and we can go from there. Just love this melody. It's one by the Pogues, and I'll tell you about it in a sec. Oh, always a little bit of a relief to get through that. Not that I did. You heard the blemishes, and that's kind of what happens on a Sunday morning because I'm presenting to you the midst of what I'm doing. That's a really, really tricky song to work out, and I'm going to get it this week. I'm going to record it this week, and that's the way I'm going to work it. Every week I'll be working on a couple of different songs, and I may play this one. I probably will play it every episode throughout the season, and you'll hear it get better, and probably. I hope you don't get too tired of these songs, but I doubt you will. I mean, we're only with each other every Sunday morning. Walter Parks here, coming from St. Louis. I made it safely back from New York City, wherein I was working with Stephen Williams on a production in Brooklyn at Atomic Atomic Sound in Red Hook, Brooklyn. Really kind of a cool neighborhood. I used to live in Williamsburg way before it was hip and all of that. And in the early 90s, it's nice and cheap, and it was kind of like the frontier. But now, it's a posh sort of playground in a sense. But I still like it there. My neo-hippie friends kind of don't really care for the hipsters, and hipsters seem pretentious to everybody. And I like dressing up. I like the why should we fault somebody because they want to curl up their jeans and coif their beard or oil their beard and that sort of thing? They care. They care. What's so bad with that just good old-fashioned ethic of I want to make an artistic statement out of myself, and I want to do something that tells me that I take my day just a little bit seriously. Isn't that what we do when we dress up for church every Sunday morning? If we dress up for church, we're dressing up for everybody else, but we're also, most importantly, we're dressing up. We would say we're dressing up for God, but I think we're dressing up for ourselves. We're telling ourselves this is an important moment, and we want to recognize the specialness of that moment. I'm okay with it, and I'm very well aware that it's all about the periphery. It's all about the skin. It's I'm aware that if you don't have the money to buy a tuxedo jacket, then let the evaluation be on the person's heart and what they really are. I get all that, but if we can, there are certain moments in the day when we should tell ourselves, let's do something a little special. The business world knows this. That's why people dress in coat and ties and so on, but less so these days. It doesn't really matter. It's all about reverence to me. And I've been accused by my best friends of being completely irreverent, but I think at times the moment warrants it. My dog is playing with a probably Chinese-made squirrel in there that has a little bit of a squeaker sound, and if it happens again, that's what's going on. It'll distract me a little bit, but I hope you're having a cup of coffee like I am. I have espresso, and I just love it. Anyway, that was the Pogues' Fairy Tale in New York. And that opening scene, that I first was exposed to that song, not through the Pogues. I wasn't quite that hip and edgy. I first saw that in the opening scene of Basquiat. When this episode is finished, I urge you to look online and look at the opening of the movie Basquiat. You can find it on YouTube. Basquiat was a Haitian-born, I think Haitian-born, or he was born into a family that was from Haiti that had come to the United States. And he became an abstract or modern art painter that was adored in the Soho art scene, Andy Warhol and those sorts. The prices for Basquiat went through the roof. You know the story. But supposedly in his youth, his mother would take him to the Museum of Modern Art and stare at the Van Goghs and that sort of thing. And the opening scene is of a mother taking a young boy to the museum. And just that scene alone is so moving. But then you have that music to it. And for years I never thought that there was much more to the song. They just looped the beginning, that slow intro. And then they sing it. Merry Christmas, I'm in the drunk tank, or something like that. The guy takes his, the guy wins a little money. They're Irish, and he treats his girlfriend or wife to a trip to New York. And he's all got these dreams of a better life, and ends up just blowing it. He ends up getting too drunk and ends up in the can, so to speak. But it's a classically, typically Irish song, wherein they relish in the hard times that they're having to go through. They dream of a better life, and the main voice in the song says, I could have been anyone, basically, if I hadn't blown it. And the female singer says, yeah, but that can happen to anybody. Anybody can be anybody. So what's the big deal? And anyway, while the squirrel is being rescued from my dog, I'm going to tell you about a gift idea. I suggest, look at these t-shirts. I'm so proud of these. Randy Crafton and I traveled from New York City down to Mississippi and bought these shirts. No, we did a recording, which Ray Dillard has mixed, of me playing old hymns in some AME churches down in Mississippi. It was a wonderful endeavor, and I think I'll play a hymn at this point. So, thank you. Walter Park's here. The show's called Hymns and Hollers. I'm still a little bit in road shock in a way. I drove all the way from Jersey City to St. Louis in one hit, and then came back and started working on that song I just played. And so here I am. Here's one from the Okie Finokie. It's going to start with a holler. Well, I'm going nowhere, Jack. got an angel on my back, and it ain't nobody's business but mine. Well, I'm going to my death. No one's on my path, and it ain't nobody's business but mine. Well, I thought upon my faults, gonna break till I get strong, and it ain't nobody's business but mine. No, it ain't nobody's business but mine. I know I played that last week, but never mind, because I'm sure I'm doing it a different way. Going all acoustic tonight. This is Richie Havens' old D40 guitar. It's a Guild, all beat up. From 1967, means it predates Woodstock. He might have had it there as a backup guitar, but it's not the one he used in the film, according to the pickguard. And I've looked very closely. But he probably, very likely, used it on his first record, which came out in 1967, the same year that the guitar was made. The record's called Mixed Bag. And kind of in a thought towards Richie, I might do a Richie Havens song that he likely recorded on this guitar. And let the river rock you like a cradle. Climb to the treetops, child, if you're able. Let your hands tie a knot across the table. Come and touch the thing you can't feel, and close your fingertips to fly where I can't hold you. Let the sun rain fall and let the dewy clouds enfold you. Maybe you can sing to me the words then don't mind me. But I'm nothing but a dream that you can follow, that you can follow, that you can follow. I was just thinking in that song, for whatever reason, I'm just not in tip shape this morning, but it's okay, you still keep going, let the show go on. And Richie used to forget lyrics just like I did. Richie would forget his own lyrics, and that wasn't his song, but I forget my lyrics, and I just haven't played that one in a while. It just came to me to do it, but it's almost in Richie's spirit to just kind of like you fish around and you keep playing, you keep strumming till you get your footing and you get through it. And a lot of my friends say, don't say this stuff, Walt. Nobody knows the difference. But there are those of you who do know the difference. There are those of you who know me, and I'd look, if I'm making a record, and most of the time in my live performances, I play them pretty spot on, but it's the nature of playing on a Sunday morning. Good morning, it's Walter Parks, Hymns and Hollers. We are not perfect unto the Lord, and I darn sure am not. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah coming up, or whatever you celebrate this time of year. I'm undertaking a project of recording and performing Christmas music. I'm going to play a concert in St. Louis at the United Church of Christ on December 24th. I never really play in churches, and it's not really a proper concert. It's a service, but half of my family belongs to that church, and I love that church. We got married there, and so why not? And I've done some Christmas songs in there at a service, and it's just glorious to. I'm going to be playing the electric guitar. I love playing the electric guitar in the church, and because it sounds like I do it in the spirit of an old pipe organ, and it's just a wonderful sound. December 15th, I'll be playing a proper public show at one of my favorite venues in St. Louis called the Blue Strawberry. I'm going to be doing that with Jody Redditch, who is a cellist that I met through Stephanie Winters in New York. Stephanie played with me for years in the group The Nudes, and she played with Jody on her projects. And lo and behold, Jody moves to St. Louis during the COVID, just like my wife and I, Margot, did. And so now Jody and I are teaming up occasionally and working together. Jody's a wonderful classical musician who, like me, kind of traverses genres, and we'll see what we can do. Jody Redditch, I invite you to check her out online. But that's, I don't know if that'll be streamed. I haven't been happy with the way the live streams sound at that particular venue, so I don't, unless Margot's doing it, we probably won't live stream. So get on an airplane and come to St. Louis. It's good. You can stay with us. December 15th, that's a Wednesday night. What else y'all got going on? Oh yeah, next is it next Saturday or next Sunday night, a week from tonight, the evening part, I'll be playing. I'm a guest at the Greenwich Village Folk Festival. I'm very proud of that, and I might have a couple of more Christmas. I will have a couple of more Christmas tunes organized. It's some of the, I love this about instrumental music, and well, what I try to do is to turn these Christmas songs into instrumental songs. I don't sing them. And some songs just don't really work that way. There's a song that I always loved called, I think, The Christmas Song, or by Jethro Tull. And it's really a very simple, it's almost like a 4-bar tune. If you just play it instrumentally, it just keeps repeating the melody. And I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I want to play the song, but it's a challenge. What do you do? Just play it for 4 bars and that's it. I I I got really good at kind of stretching out little short melodies of songs. For years, I played a corporate gig in New York City for an awards ceremony, and we would play these short little blurbs that sometimes loosely um, connected to the award that was won. So at one point, there was an award that was given to it was in the advertising business. And I did this thing for 15 years. I loved the gig. It was a wonderful thing. I learned so much musically about it. And think of me as kind of Paul Schaefer, but instead of playing the piano, I was the guitar player and I was the music director on this thing. And we would just play these 30-second blurbs, several hundred of them. It was a lot of work. I planned for it for months. Every spring, every year was commandeered by preparing for this gig. Couldn't tour, couldn't do anything. I just prepared for this. And at one point, we had the song was an award that was being given to the Del Monte Company or something. You know, the people, the company that chops up the pineapples and so on. And so I thought, well, I'm going to play what is a song that goes with Del Monte? And I thought, well, it's got to be the Green Giant. Let me put my hands here and focus me. There we go. That might help a little bit. I'm going to play the Green Giant theme, but the problem with that is that the Green Giant theme is it's just a little. It's like a 1 or 2 bar thing. Bum ba da 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 ho ho yo ho ho Green Giant. Y'all remember that? I mean, if you're my age or thereabouts, you might remember that as a commercial in the days when we watched commercials. So here's the song. Bum ba da 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 bum 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 Green Giant. That's all well and good if the recipient of the award is sitting in the front row. But the recipient of this award, ladies and gentlemen, the award goes to Del Monte. And the songs were known only to the band. And the audience would sit in anticipation thinking, what are they going to play for this particular award? And that's why I kept getting this gig year after year, because it was part of the suspense. There was a suspenseful aspect to an otherwise normally sort of boring corporate awards event. And anyway, so the award goes to Del. Are y'all with me here? I mean, this is a long story. The award goes to Del Monte. And so I start playing Green Giant. And we're looking around. Where's the recipient? So the recipient is at the top row of the auditorium, the very top row. Not only is he or she, I can't remember, at the top row of the auditorium, he or she is mobility impaired. So they're walking down this painstakingly hobbling down the aisle to pick up their award with a cane or a walker, and somebody's helping them. And we're, for 3 minutes, we're looping the shortest song in the night's repertoire, the Green Giant. Bum ba dun 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 dun. Bum ba dun 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 bum 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 bum. Bum ba dun bum 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 bum. I mean, what do you do with a song like that? If you lose the melody, if you abandon the melody just to stretch it, then it's no longer the song in any discernible way. It was one of the most packed into one moment. It was one of the most humorous and sort of awkward and frustrating moments of my career. Humor and frustration and embarrassment all packed into one punch. But isn't that the finer moments in life? And sometimes you just have to laugh at yourself. And I wasn't laughing at the person who was mobility impaired. And I think at that point, everybody was feeling for the band. And it was there was kind of a lightness to the moment. It was so awkward and so weird. We just kind of were all in it together, and it's like this is absolutely just kind of oddly wonderful. And so that's but I was happy for the work, as I always am, and feel so blessed to be able to play this guitar, and I'm especially blessed when I can play it well. I'm not sure that this day falls into that category, but regardless, I am with you, with y'all, and Walter Parks here from St. Louis. While I'm transitioning, I just wanted to call attention, as if you haven't noticed it already, to this piece of art behind me. This was my second painting that I've ever done, and it is a study in colors. I'm going to, you might be able to see it right there if I move. Some of you will probably say, well, this is it's just modern art. It's just a bunch of squares and all of that. And yes, it is. But I'm trying to learn how the different colors work and interact. And at some point on a different piece of canvas, I'm going to start layering it with silk screened images and poetry and quotes and all of this sort of thing in a quest not to be redundant and not to do things that other artists and painters have done, but also just to enjoy the process. I really, really enjoy painting, and I've only done 2 paintings. I've always wanted to all my life. I did this in the spring, and I'm loving how the painting is changing. The oils in it, it's all oil. The oils are drying up, and the settling marks. It's kind of it's not exactly flowing, but it's drying in a way that shows movement, and it's extremely fascinating to me, and I love how the light interacts with it in different ways. What is it? I'm not sure. But, I used to have a big problem with that question. What is it? You could look at the Mona Lisa at the Louvre, and you can look at Starry Night by Van Gogh, and you can answer that question. What is it? It's a starry night, You can look at the Mona Lisa. It's a woman, But yet we tend sometimes, people who are not interested in supporting the arts will try to get that question answered. What is it? In order to invalidate something. And to that I say that's just a bunch of rubbish, because who amongst us who has ever fallen in love requires as a prerequisite that question be answered? What is this? What are we doing here? On the first date or something. If you start asking those questions, it's over. You just go with it. You flow with it. And lives are changed. Children are born. Dogs are rescued, and families rally around all of it. And life is better. And so anyway, we don't have to answer that question. What is it? I can tell you that what I've learned about art is that I rarely know what it is at the outset, but the answer becomes clearer as I just dive in. It's just like learning to walk. You don't really know that. You don't even learn to walk. I don't think babies learn to walk with the intention of walking. It's just something they do, and then they figure it out. I don't know if that really made sense, but falling in love was a better one. Here's an old gospel song in keeping with in justifying the name of my show. I'm gonna go to an old spiritual combined with one of mine from the Swamp Cabbage repertoire. And this is This is a tricky one to play as well. I'm gonna play this on my old Taylor from 1991. I bought it new, and actually Stephanie Winters bought this in New York City, and probably a month or so later I bought it from her. So I can say that I just pretty much bought it. It was one that I've never seen before, or never seen since, and I had never seen it before. It's a steel string guitar that looks like a classical guitar. Never seen it. Taylor won't even make one like this anymore. I went to him. I said, make me another one. They won't do it. It's got a really wide neck, no inlays on it. Looks just like a classical guitar. Just love this thing. And Richie Havens loved it. This is called the Dipstick Rag. Down Park Avenue, he gave me heart attack. Let's get in, come to Papa, Sunset Boulevard, gonna be traffic stop. Tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line. Tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line. Tell him what you want. Call him up and tell him what you want. If you don't know his number, oh, tell him what you want. You don't have to have his number. Tell him what you want. And tell him what you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you you want. Jesus on the main line, tell him what you want. Call him up and tell him what you want. It's a little tricky. Well, they're all tricky. I mean, I've picked a bunch of tricky ones this morning. This is it's called the Dipstick Rag, and check it out if you don't have my Swamp Cabbage repertoire. It's something I'm real proud of. It's kind of like electric folk music, and I started with that group and that project in 2001, really. And the group is still going. We get together and play every now and then. We just kind of Jagoda plays drums with us, New Orleans style. I love getting together with him, and just kind of has that second line New Orleans happy funeral groove throughout everything we do. Rob Curto joins us every now and then on accordion. Jim DeVito plays bass, and every now and then we call Matt Lindsay back every now and then, and he lives in Brooklyn, and he's a bass player as well. But pick up a shirt if you can. This is helping to keep the music out there. It's a good holiday gift. I was going to say this earlier, and I realized I derailed myself. This is a picture of an old church that we recorded in just south of Yazoo City in Mississippi. And those AME churches are, maybe somebody could let me know why this is, because I've never inquired. I feel a little embarrassed about it. I don't think I've ever seen an AME church that has a cross on it. They all seem to not have crosses. But there's certainly something I like about that. You don't really know if it's a, quote, house of worship or not. You would just drive right by that little old white building. But I first found out about this one particular AME church in Redwood, Mississippi, when I was driving by it with a filmmaker named Mahesh Payur out of L.A. We were driving down, and there was a older black woman next to the side of the road. She was kind of waving her hands like this, and I said to Mahesh, I was driving at the time. I said, well, maybe he was driving. I can't remember. I said, I think we better turn around and stop for her. And he said, no, she's just telling people to slow down. And there were a lot of logging trucks and everything. There's a big mill business around there. I said, no older person gets to the side of the road and just cares enough to thinks that it's going to make a difference to go out there and wave to truckers to slow down. Something else is going on. So I said, I'm turning around, and he's I love Mahesh, and he's in one way he reminds me of so many of my city friends. They're averse to any kind of involvement or direct communication with country people. They just feel like it's, I think more than anything, they feel like it's disrespectful, like leave them alone. They don't want to hear from us. I get it, but I think there's also an awkwardness they're trying to avoid, just that sort of direct communication with a stranger is just not something we tend to do in the big city. And so anyway, I stopped and went back to the lady, and she says, thank you very much for stopping. I need to. There's a huge rattlesnake on the stairs of my church, and I need a cell phone I need to kill that snake. I need a cell phone. And I told the lady, I said, I don't think that cell phone's going to kill that snake. And she kind of laughed, and I knew what she was talking about. She wanted to call somebody to deal with it. And sure enough, the neighbor shows up with a big shotgun, and I thought that was the end of us. Because, then I started thinking like a city guy. Here is this big old dude with a shotgun. We're two strangers from the great beyond elsewhere, and it might be our undoing. And but happily, I was rooting for the snake. I didn't want the snake to get shot. And what a bloody mess it would have made on those stairs leading up to the church. The snake slithered away, and so we made friends with the lady, and she invited us in. And 2 hours later, songs had been exchanged. She played, I've talked about this before. What a Friend I Have in Jesus, on the very wonderfully out of tune upright piano in the church. And I played People Get Ready for Her. It was kind of in the round right there. It was wonderful. And at the end of it, she said, Walter, I'm so glad you stopped by. That snake brought us together. And I just love that. That snake brought us together. So at some point, I'm going to edit the video that Ray Dillard mixed for me and Randy Crafton recorded. It's some good footage. It's interesting. And it certainly sounds good, of me playing in that old church. And so I'm going to, there's a sad thing about traveling that I more and more I'm noticing old farmhouses that